Yippee-Ki-Yay, mother.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Welcome to Yippee-Ki-Yay Mother Podcast Classic. Hey, everybody. What's happening?
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Why are you laughing over there? I don't get it.
Well, because you had a little tongue tied getting the YKY out.
I don't think I did. I thought I did that pretty well.
Watch it, you'll see.
Okay. Yippee-Ki-Yay Mother Podcast Classic.
There you go.
I'm going to dub that in. All right?
No.
All right. Hey, everybody. Okay, so tonight is Debbie's film. Very interesting film, by the way,
Yes.
Debbie.
Yes.
I'm surprised at this one. So, again, I think we can spoil this one. It came out in 2009. I don't think we have to have a separate spoiler section, right?
Correction,
All right.
2006.
2006, even longer, further. So let's talk about this film, and then we will do What'd You Watch after we break this film down.
But
Sound
before
good?
we break this one down, I do want to talk about some people we lost,
Yes.
particularly Raquel Welch.
Yes.
And she was very pivotal. When I was a kid,
Oh,
1 million years BC,
that's all you got to say.
but then there's,
Bedazzled.
then there was Bedazzled.
Myra Breckenridge.
I didn't see Myra
Breckenridge.
Breckenridge.
Bad.
The
And,
Yeah.
Katie Halder. What was that Western she did?
Yeah,
Katie Holder, but, fantastic.
Mother Jugs and Speed.
Mother Jugs and Speed was great. Which
Bill
one?
Cosby.
And let's not forget
Was she Speed or Jugs? I forget.
She was Jugs.
Oh, okay.
And let's not forget the real masterpiece, Kansas City Bomber.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I tell you, I saw a lot of these films. 1 million years BC was too early, but at the theaters when I was a kid, because I used to go to the movies all the time. And, so I have very fond memories of her.
I mean,
I
really
was
the
fascinated before I understood why you were fascinated with women.
right. Well, we know. Yeah. What's that weird tingle I'm having? What's going on with me?
Yeah, exactly.
Ginger gave it to me too on Gilligan's Island.
Oh,
Tingle.
Tina
Marianne
Louise.
actually more. But yeah, I mean, she is right in the wheelhouse for guys our age. Raquel Welch. I mean, come on. She's the original sex symbol for
She
us,
was gorgeous.
I think.
Gorgeous.
And I also want to mention Belzer.
Yeah, Richard Belzer.
Yeah, Richard Belzer.
Another sex symbol.
A lot of the classic comics that are slightly older than us, but I grew up watching are dying, like Gilbert Gottfried and Belzer. They appeared on the Gilbert's podcast a couple times, and I really enjoyed Belzer. It was a great move for him when he went to Homicide: Life on the Street.
What a run he had with all those shows.
Yeah, then he played the same character.
Yeah.
He was in X-Files too, as Munch.
Yeah.
Like
He
that's
was.
pretty
He
amazing.
went to the X-Files as Munch. Wow, that's quite a crossover for him.
My fondest memory of Richard Belzer was when he was on the Howard Stern show, and he was talking about some kind of fundraising event, and my wife called in and asked him about his conduct at the event because he was actually kind of rude, and he said to my wife, "Mind your business, lady." And I thought, that lady, that's my wife.
Wow,
So I
that's
was
quite
pretty
a story.
excited. Pretty excited.
I haven't
Well,
known
he
Howard
was funny.
Stern
It's
stories, so-
sad. He died at home with his family, so that's a nice way to go. But he was only 78, which I guess is not that old now. So
The last pictures I saw,
especially all you guys.
I have a strange connection to Belzer as well.
Yeah.
What's your connection?
Well, remember how one of the bits in the Homicide show was that Belzer's character, Munch, had been married so many times.
Right.
The very final episode of Homicide: Life on the Street has him getting married to the waitress at the bar that he owns.
Right.
There is a scene with a wedding cake. The wedding cake has a standard wedding topper. I actually bought that wedding topper long before I met the woman who would become my wife, when they sold off all the props that were still in Baltimore.
Oh, that's funny.
Didn't feel like shipping them back. And it was literally on the top of my wedding
Wow.
topper
That's
the
great.
day that I got married.
Gosh.
Wow.
That
That's
is
funny.
a great story.
We even wrote up a little thing and put a little plaque down next to the cake that
That's
said,
funny.
final episode of
What
Homicide.
is distinctive about this wedding topper cake?
It was on
Nothing.
Homicide.
It was on Homicide. It was on
And
national
his.
television.
Did you hear his last words?
I
His
wish I
last
had that
words.
cake topper back.
His last words were "F you, mother effer." Those were his last words before he died.
Are you
I
kidding me?
heard that.
He's a friggin' legend, that guy.
Yeah, and
Wow.
A fucking
the
legend.
way to go,
really.
huh?
He is an effing legend. And of
a real
course,
motherfucker.
as Sean mentioned earlier, we may be talking about Tom Sizemore next week, but not yet. We'll hold off on that one.
Yeah, he's not well. That's unfortunate.
And,
And Bruce Willis has got full-blown dementia.
Yeah,
yeah, that
and
was
that's,
really
this,
sad.
Very
this
sad.
is his lasting legacy. Is this friggin' podcast?
Yeah, yeah.
So
And he gets a
it's-
Yippee-Ki-Yay.
other things.
And I
Many
want to
other
mention
things.
one more person, Burt Bacharach.
Oh,
he
yeah.
passed
Oh, yeah.
away.
He was in his 90s. I didn't realize that.
So many great songs, and what a great
Yeah.
score to Butch Cassidy too.
Dropping like flies.
And Austin Powers put him back on the map.
Yeah,
All right, after all that, Debbie, let's
Thank
talk
you.
about Apocalypto.
Apocalypto, 2006 film. As the Mayan kingdom faces its decline, a young man is taken on a parallel ruled by fear and oppression. And boy, did they get a lot of oppression in this film. A lot of blood, a lot of guts, but a lot of humor too.
and a lot of heart.
But
Beating heart. Yeah, right out of the chest. Yeah.
And
I'm
the
fascinated why you picked this film, but let's talk about it a little bit more if you want to explain, or do you want someone else to jump in?
what
I think
is
we
that
might have to.
Mayan,
What's that?
they use the Mayan language
Yeah.
as best they can, and you can understand it in a way if you look at the subtitles and you hear the words. We were in Chichen Itza in the Yucatan, and we had a tour guide at this place where they did offer sacrifice, and they had the game set up that they played, the ancient game. What was it called? Do you remember the game?
It was something like
Football.
lacrosse.
Yeah, it's
I was
with the
gonna say
head,
ice
but the
lacrosse,
head
yeah.
goes in the basket, right, or something like that.
Yeah, it was
Well, that's the winner of the game. If you
Right.
won,
you would be sacrificed.
and
Oh,
they
nice.
wanted to win, that was an honor for them. They're psychologically.
They didn't have
profiled
many
to do
returning
that.
champions.
Nobody.
It would have been
Well, you
Tom
buried the
Hanks.
lead too. Who's this directed by?
Yeah, we should mention Mel Gibson directed this
directed by
film.
Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
Of course,
Yeah.
I was getting to that. Mel Gibson, who he went off sometime and had a bad time of things.
I'll
But
address
in
that
the-
later.
Well, yeah.
Woke Corner. We'd call that Woke Corner. That's a new segment we have.
call whatever 4-letter word you want.
I like it. No, I'm all in. Let's go.
I'll talk
Yeah,
about it
so
later.
Mel Gibson directed this. What else, Debbie?
It was so thrilling. It was so good to watch the village when they first start out. They're doing their hunting. The men went out and they bonded with the men, and the dad was it was ancestral. What they did. They hunted there for his father and his father's father.
They
My
ate some
sons-
balls.
And my son's sons will hunt them.
And what'd you
They
say?
ate some.
Drew?
They ate some hog balls.
One
Taper
guy.
balls.
Oh, yeah.
Tried to.
They-
Because he needed to,
Impregnate.
he wasn't having a baby. He needed to impregnate his wife, so they were
Wanted
trying
her.
all kinds of
And
stuff.
that was the funny part.
That was the funniest scene in the movie, that one.
we all could relate to that, right?
Oh, not Ralph.
No, I don't have a problem.
No.
I honestly thought that was like, it's funny. I remember seeing this movie in the theater, and I gotta say, I honestly remember at that sequence being like, man, they just would not let up on that dude. Like,
Oh,
In
yeah.
the village.
Yeah.
It takes a village to make a baby.
it was
Yeah.
brutal. I mean, a little part of me was like, it stopped being funny to me after a little bit. I mean, in the like when they're out in the hunting party, I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. It's like kind of they're messing with each other, and there's kind of some back and forth. But like then when the mother-in-law gets involved, I was just like, this poor dude.
Well, like, what if your friend's dad gave you something to make your balls and
Burn.
hurt? Yeah, I mean that's a
That's
lot.
Yeah, I couldn't tell whether they liked that guy. I mean, that guy.
That was his
just the
father.
look of him, you knew he was a good guy, right? That's
Yeah.
the whole thing, and I think that
Right.
was part of it. Mel
And
Gibson
he was
did a
laughing
good
too.
job.
He was
casting
laughing too after it.
What? Yeah.
Yeah.
And the main lead, Jaguar's Paw, was that his name?
Rudy Youngblood.
Yeah,
He
Jaguar's Paw.
was compelling. He was a good person to put in the lead. He was really good, especially when things start happening and he ends up in the tar pit and all that stuff.
And none of them were actors. None of them had done anything before.
Well, he had done other stuff. He had done Windwalkers, maybe after.
Oh, he
this.
did? I didn't
Wind
yeah.
Talkers. He did that one
Yeah.
with Nicolas
Nicolas
Cage,
Cage.
which may have been after this film. So yeah, it's a film in the Amazon about the Mayan actually the ending of the Mayan civilization, directed by Mel Gibson, which is why he infused it with things like eating the balls and making fun of that guy and some of the stuff that he infused this with, and some of the humor too.
Yeah, and let's not forget that he was able to pull this off because he had essentially self-financed The Passion of the Christ, which was also in completely another language. And correct me if I'm wrong, that's probably still the highest grossing non-English spoken language movie in this country.
Was that after this or before this?
Before.
Oh,
It was
was
2 years before.
I did
And
not
he
know.
never would have let
Passion
him
of the
make a
Christ. Oh,
movie.
I had no idea. I thought
Well,
that was
this
after.
is
That's why he was able to
highest
make this
grossing-
movie.
Oh.
This is the highest grossing Mayan language film.
All right, so let's talk about the plot, Debbie. The plot was you had this good group of hunters, the happy hunters, the good guys, who are hunting and everything's great and they're having fun with each other and they come back and everybody's singing and happy but they meet this other group of people who are fishing in the ocean, who they ask them, what's going on? Why are you coming through our territory? Well, somebody ransacked our place. So now we're setting up that something.
Right.
You know,
there was a drought.
right.
And on special
And a
occasions,
disease.
well, on special occasions such as a drought or when it's needed, they'd have to sacrifice human blood and the heart
All right.
for.
So before you get there,
Yeah, we
so
don't know that at the beginning.
we don't know that. So now this happy village gets attacked by who are basically the bad guys in the film, which are the people that you said came from the big Inca city, whatever that city
Maya.
was,
Yeah.
Mayan city, that's having a famine, and they need to
Basically,
collect people to sacrifice, not only sacrifice, but also enslave a lot of the women and some of the men, but some of the men are going to get sacrificed up on the big.
women.
Well, no,
What's
they were selling them.
Yeah.
The mother-in-law,
Yeah.
The mother-in-law got sold, or didn't
No,
get
she
sold.
didn't
She
get
was too
sold.
ugly.
They're like-
She didn't.
nobody
She
wants you. You could just leave.
She was free to go.
Yeah, you're free to go. How about that?
So it is sort of an us and them situation and we're rooting for the people that we met at the beginning of the film, and horrible things happen to those people.
Well, it's like Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, where the people from the country end up in the big city.
Yeah,
and
they
it's
don't know
not
what
what
to
they
do.
expect, and it's pretty
And
intense.
also
so.
the
I
ad.
was
So
literally going to say this. It's the old rural versus urban people.
Yeah.
And the rural people.
but also what Mel did is, and I think John told this to me or talked about it. He's showing you something that you don't normally see.
And
So
that's
when you
so great
when you go
about
into that Inca city, you're seeing. And I did watch that history buff guy after this, who ripped Mel Gibson to shreds about the history.
Yeah, but that's
No, let me explain. Don't jump
Let's-
yet.
Let's explain. Go ahead.
He did explain that this is a combination of Mayan and
Right.
Aztec civilization. The Mayans didn't sacrifice people the way they showed in here, and the Aztecs.
They did,
So
though.
he mixed up a bunch of stuff,
Yeah.
but he also got complimented on what he showed going on in the city and how that city was laid out as they walked in and the lime is being produced and all the people they're meeting. That he kind of got that right. Now, at the end of the film, we'll talk about that. He got that wrong, but that's okay
Right.
because
The
of the way the
timeline's
film ends.
wrong. Right.
It's just a cool shot. Forgetting that it would have never happened in that.
I want to say something. I just want to address the historicity of the film. Mel
The
Gibson's never the history
Historicity.
of the historicity. I mean, it's like Braveheart.
Right.
No, it's
course,
like and
That's
like
okay.
a subject I know a great deal about, the American Revolution. The Patriot was just
Well,
frustrating.
that's how this person started. Was like if you look at Braveheart and the Patriot, Mel Gibson doesn't give a crap about history.
yeah,
Which
But-
is fine.
I
Yeah,
still
I
credit
don't
him.
care.
I credit him because even if it's part this, part that, he's still showing me a world I've never seen before.
Right.
Right.
And I'm sure you're interested in the whole technical aspects of the film too. This was like a really big, early, completely digital production, if I'm not mistaken. That was one of the reasons I wanted to see it. And you could tell it would have. Well, we'll talk later. But what were you
Yeah.
going to say?
Okay, so basically, there's criticism on Mel Gibson about the inaccuracies, but basically, that's what the whole film is about: is the sacrifice, the ultimate sacrifice. We were in Chichen Itza, and we had this man. He was wonderful. He spoke. We got on the tour bus, and they tell you don't go with the tour bus people. Take their own tour. We found this guy, and right away he starts speaking Mayan to us, and he made it so we would understand the language. And then he told us about the region, how they played their game. That there's a big football field out there, and there's a little tiny basketball way up high. There's no way the best basketball player, who's the best basketball player in the world, he would
it's
never.
Not Kyrie Irving.
But there's no way you could make this goal. You know what I mean? You have to get a spear going through it, and you're battling other teammates to get to it,
so that you could be sacrificed.
And if you win, you get sacrificed. So that, historically, they're not going to say all that. But we did actually climb the top where the heads were coming down.
I think, Debbie, the point is that if you're going to do a film that's only using Mayan language, and you're talking about the end of the Mayan civilization, people might get a little bit, hey, but you're mixing stuff. You're talking about Aztec. The way the sacrifices are happening was how the Aztecs sacrificed, not the Mayans. But it doesn't matter because the film ultimately is a chase film, which is what it gets to halfway through.
It's a hell of an action movie.
It's a great action film, and I think that's really what should be talked about. All that other stuff, like when you see movies, things are lied all the time. This stuff is fudged all the time.
Yeah, you don't care.
So, and like what Sean is saying, the technical aspects of this film, I don't know how they shot in the jungle the way they shot. There's some behind the scenes.
They really had to protect the cameras.
The cameras and the people and the amount of running that was going on, and I don't know how. It's just an amazing film for that. The chase film alone is worth the watch.
And it's like pure cinema after a while. It's much like there was a certain film that was like pure cinema.
I know what you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah, it might be Mad Max. Does it rhyme with Uri Road? But again, he had to do the film got all of the big press on the film was the sacrifice scene, because that's fairly brutal and bloody. They're ripping hearts out, heads are getting chopped off, rolling down the stairs. But ultimately, once you get past that, and it becomes when they let the guys that they painted all in blue go, okay, you can escape if you get through the get to the corn, which they're not going to let them go.
It's all Squid Game.
Yes, Jaguar's car gets through, and then now the chase is on. I love this film. I'm just going to say it right now. I just thought it was amazing, and bloody and gory and fun. And you're rooting for Jaguar's Paw. I don't know how to say his name, but
Jaguar Paw.
I'm rooting for him the whole way. The scene with talk about, he also had his wife that he put in that pit, cave. She has the baby underwater, all that stuff. It's like, okay, some of the stuff.
No, but the movie doesn't work as well without that. That's his clock. He has to get home, because if he had not seen her fate, if he had just left her and she was being dragged off like Blunt's wife, or he just didn't know, he'd say, I want to get home. But he knows where his wife and kid are, and when it starts raining, he knows I have to go now.
Triggers,
and that really, look, Mel Gibson can make a movie. And this is a really intense action movie. And I think as far as just as a movie, it's definitely one of his tighter, more entertaining movies. And the fact that the history is nonsense, it doesn't really bother me. I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't offend. A lot of movies take liberties like that. And he's not claiming, like, there's nothing in it that says, well, here's the academic papers and the historical research that I've based this on. As you get to the end of the movie, the real danger appears, which, like in Indian movies, is white people. And that is the future of all these awful things that we see in the movie. It's going to get much, much worse. And I thought it was a neat snapshot to see a movie made that well, that tight. And, again, with all these people you never see in the movies, except for the guy who played the high priest who was ripping out hearts. He basically played the same role in The Fountain the same year, the Darren Aronofsky movie. Really? Yeah, he played Lord Shibalba.
There's a great scene in the backs, when they did some behind the scenes. You see him up there drinking a big orange crush or something. It's so funny to see him in that situation.
Yeah, apparently Mel Gibson has a director's cameo as one of the guys covered in lime. in that scene. I've never actually seen it in the movie, but apparently that's
it's
in there
quick. And
because he
they say
wasn't
he's
white
smoking a
enough, I
cigar,
guess.
though.
So
In a beard, smoking a cigar. And then I did like the whole, using the sun, using the eclipse to control the masses and how they would do that. I mean, that's sort of, I like that aspect of it as well. So, John, you're quiet. What do you got?
No, just I had never seen this movie, so I don't know if everyone else thinks that. Yeah, I had no desire to see this movie when it first came out, and maybe because I know it was in a different language, and I knew it was going to be subtitled. But after all the Indian movies we watched, that's not a big deal anymore.
Right.
So
that's good.
The first half hour or so, because we've been watching some movies that, for me, have been kind of downers. So that's what I felt like in the first half hour. And I'm like, oh God, I got to watch another movie that is just going to depress the crap out of me. And I'm not looking forward to it. And then it started to change. Really when it became Predator almost, you know what I mean? When he was, the Most Dangerous Game. I really enjoyed it. I also, you guys are talking about the historical accuracy. Well, the average person has no idea about history of the Mayans. So it's not made. It's right. So it's like the only people that are going to critique it are people who are deep knowledge about the Mayans. Everyone else, he made an adventure film, and that's all he was trying to do. It was one of the most, I always say this, and lately the movies we've been doing, I'm saying this a lot, but it's a place I've never seen before. And the jungle was just strikingly shot. I mean, it was just absolutely gorgeous the way he shot it. And I really like there was a scene where he was saying, Jaguar, don't rain. And I thought he just didn't want to get wet, at the time. Then he says it again. Now all of a sudden you make the connection with the wife and the daughter in that big hole. That's why he's worried about the rain and why he's got to get back. So I ended up really enjoying this film. The first half hour or so was a slog for me a little bit, and I was kind of like, oh God, I don't think I'm ready for this one. But as it started going on, you really cared about the people. Again, the whole Aztec temple thing was like, I've never seen that before, quite like that. It was all those extras that were there, and I don't know how much back then, how much CGI they used,
none.
but I was none. Okay. So there was
CGI in the film, but not for that stuff.
Okay,
they built a city.
I couldn't get over that. That whole set was pretty amazing.
Hey, listen. Also, when I bring up the historical inaccuracies, it didn't take away the film for me. I just found it fascinating.
Oh no! I'm not saying that to you. I'm saying that anyone who critiques the historical accuracy of this, if you're making a point, same thing with The Patriot or these other movies.
Well, they do that all the time.
Unless you are, like I said, unless you know. And I know a lot about the Revolutionary War, okay? But this was something I knew nothing about, and I didn't in there thinking, well, I wonder if this is historically accurate. I was just like, hey, it's a good action movie. And that's how most people will look at that. And it surprised me how much it did actually surprise me how much I enjoyed it. And I really did enjoy it, Debbie. So I was shocked that you picked this. But
can I ask you, you said the first part of the movie, it was kind of, how far in? Are you talking about when a village gets attacked and all that brutality or
no, it was prior to that. Yeah. I just felt like when they started ripping apart the animal and pulling everything, I was like, oh, this is what this movie's going to be like. And I really wasn't up for that with like I said, the last few movies, like I'll talk about with what we watched. I had to watch some movies to get some of this stuff out of my head. And that's where I thought this was going.
Yeah.
And it didn't. It surprised me where it went, and I really enjoyed it. So I
asked because I had forgotten when the story widens and those terrible people show up to hunt for them. It turned into Conan the Barbarian, like just people coming out of the woods and destroying your private, quiet family place, and it was just. I mean, I saw it. I didn't see it in the theater because I didn't want to give theater money to him, but I was curious about the movie, and I saw it when it came out on I probably got the DVD from Netflix or something, and I was like, this is just really awesome. I mean, it's just it's another one of these things. You set a goal, you do it right, and it's a really exciting action movie, and I really cared about the fate of everybody and watching certain characters that hunted them, watching them finally die, like watching the guy get hit with a pig trap, and the one who like pushed the guy off the cliff when they were going to like he was especially sadistic and evil. Like watching these people get their
well, and
their
Mel
just
did a good
desserts was very
job of
great.
making sure we knew who those people were. There was no question you could recognize.
Yeah, that was
everybody.
really great.
They were very distinct.
Yeah, distinct. Chris,
waterfall scene where he's down there egging on, guys, let's all jump, and he's looking.
well, I like the one guy says, I don't think I really want to do this. Let's go around. And I thought he just kind of elbowed him.
No.
He took him out.
Yeah.
He killed him.
I actually did see this movie in the theater at the time. And it's funny because it is a fantastic action movie, right? I think there's a lot of undertones that Gibson was possibly going for. Like I said, his prior film to this was The Passion of the Christ, which I've still never seen. As I said to my friends at the time, I don't need to see a snuff film starring Jesus. And
can I just jump in real quick? The one thing that was pointed out too is everybody that gets stabbed in this film by a sword gets stabbed on the right side, the way Jesus was stabbed up on the cross from his film. So
it's the classic Mayan stigmata, you mean?
Yeah, I think Mel might have been dropping some of that stuff in. But go ahead,
that's wrong. That's really an Aztec thing.
Okay, see?
But obviously he had a lot of the undertones about, being in touch with nature is a more pure way to live, and that the city is the root of all evil and all that kind of stuff. But it is just a fantastic action movie. And I love the part with the bees. He's covered in blood, and he wraps up that giant wasp's nest or whatever. And but there are just a lot of great sequences. But what I really
It's Home Alone in the jungle.
Yeah, except
it's a pretty sadistic movie too.
Exactly. But what I thought was really great about this film was that in the middle of this, it's so intense, right? It's so, you're on the edge of your seat. And then when he pulls up and you see those 3 ships, it is such a great rug pulling moment. Like it pulls it right out from underneath your feet. And you're like, oh, it's really on now. These are the conquistadors. Get ready. Because they're going to bring the pain.
You don't realize until that scene that's the apocalypse of the title.
Yeah,
you think the apocalypse is the city that's dying and the famine and the disease and all this stuff, but no, the real destruction is coming. The real disease and destruction is coming.
Exactly, both literal and
And when you see those guys in the boat,
everything else.
all the white guys, you're like, oh Jesus, here we go. They ruined everything.
And,
but I gotta tell you guys,
right, John? They ruined everything.
They do.
Yeah, because those people were so happy before that.
Yeah,
that was a happy village. They started out.
They were doing their.
The kids were happy. Everybody was Yeah.
But here's the thing about that particular place that Sean and I visited in Chichen Itza. There's pictures of the Mayan people, and it's so strange.
Carvings of them.
The carvings on the buildings and such, and their faces are like hedgehogs, like
hatchets,
hatchet heads. Their eyes, like their face comes to a point, and their eyes are somewhat on the sides. And even though that population is probably 1% left of the Mayans, the real Mayans, you could tell that feature in a lot of the people.
Yeah, a lot of the people that worked there. Looked like they came off the reliefs.
Yeah,
right
off the hieroglyphics.
Yeah, and the one guy, just a tour guide who was amazing. There were some kids who were being rowdy, young kids, and it would keep interrupting him. It's like, don't worry, folks, we will be sacrificing those children when we get there.
Jesus.
He said that a couple times.
And you guys were all, yeah.
Oh boy.
But if you ever get a chance to go there.
We've also been to Mayan ruins in Belize as well.
Now we're climbing up to the top where the heads will roll thing. And I was 46 when I was there. So climbing that thing was kind of scary. We get to the top and I'm sitting with my back against the pillar, right? And this woman, and I don't blame her, she came and she stepped on my hand. And Sean said, oh, that's okay.
No, it was her husband said that it's okay.
Oh, he said, yeah, it's okay. Because nobody wants to have a disparaging word up there high up on the cliff, with somebody standing on your hand. It hurt so bad, but you know. And
You know, they
then
don't-
he went underground with the Jaguar.
And then you went up. Yeah, there was like they went
I
into
didn't
the
do that.
internal chambers. And I want to say something. Those people must have been shorter. But because it was
And
so
less
steep,
Yeah, less
that
steep.
couldn't have been more than 3 feet top from like the stair to the roof. But because it was so steep, you could actually get up there. And they would let one group go up and then come down. Because I got to tell you, you would be so claustrophobic if you knew other people were coming up and you couldn't.
Well, the
get
good news is they don't let you climb those things anymore.
Yeah, because
Oh, yeah.
American college students were like doing
Well,
graffiti.
because they're So, but back
There's
to the
those
film,
white people again.
please. Back to the film.
Yeah, but it's just fascinating.
I've been to Cancun. I did all that. I would never want to, But the Mayans were around for 2,000 years or more. I mean, it's amazing civilization. So, and he's basically making a statement that was the end of it, and it's over now that these guys are rolling up on him. So, and that scene, you see the three of them just stop fighting.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, those two other guys that we never see again, they are in such awe that they start just walking down the beach, and we don't know what happens to them.
Right.
And Jaguar Paw is like, bye.
yeah, I'm gonna go get my wife, get her out of there.
Now, here's the interesting thing about what our guide said about the language. And I'll tell you, Ralph, I know you're laughing, Ralph.
I'm laughing because we just can't get away from your tour. We're trying to.
I'm telling you, the language that is there, the Mayans speak, is Greek and Latin.
Okay.
And they've been along for longer than 2,000 years.
Okay.
I agree with your face, Chris.
I'm trying. Okay. We're off the tour now, right?
Apocalypto.
Okay. Back to the
it's a
film.
movie, right?
Yeah. Jesus. Does anybody
Can we talk
want?
about the technical
They hate
thing?
me. They hate me.
No, don't hate you at all. I
hate you.
don't
No,
understand.
I wish I would have pointed this out to Deb, because in one of the previous episodes we were talking about video smoothing and refresh rates and all.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys were watching it, but you were seeing. I was seeing some of that in this movie.
Sure.
And I think it's locked into this movie, because this was an early all digital action film shot outdoors.
I can see that because they're blasting through that jungle. They're. And,
So you were
and
seeing
one,
some-
and I
There's
think
definitely some of that.
it had to have been a helicopter. The shot he does over the waterfall,
I was going to ask about that one.
where he starts behind him and comes back around to the bottom of the waterfall.
He was so close to the guy.
I don't
I
think
don't know
had
how they did
drones.
that. I would think maybe it's a long boom or something. Because now, if you did it, you'd maybe use a drone.
You would
But-
definitely use a drone now. I don't know if that was a helicopter they used. I don't think that
Yeah, it was
boom would
too
be
close
that
to
long.
it.
That's a long shot.
Well, it also
And-
probably was two shots that they put together, and you just can't see it.
I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was. But it's still impressive to have it
Oh,
start from
yeah.
around him and then come down the waterfall.
It was so striking. I mean, the Mel Gibson's imagery in his movies, they're just, I mean, if you think of Braveheart or his other films, you are remembering specific images that are just so thoughtfully constructed. And he's one of those people that I think, was just born to intuitively to get there, to make these movies, and I think that's, this is a great example of if Mel Gibson's going to do an action movie, then this is a really pure action movie.
The one I remember is one of the dudes jumps in the waterfall and you see he just barely missed the rocks, right? So you go, oh my God, there's rocks down there. The next guy just slams his head right into it. It's like, oh.
And Jaguar Paul's reaction when they start coming down, because he thought it was safe.
Yeah, he was shocked.
Now, I want to say something about Mel Gibson now, because given all the trouble he's been through and all, he still is a great director, great film person, movie maker. And I would love for Mel Gibson to be the, in Sean's movie, I, John, that he won the Kairos Prize for. We always saw him
Mel,
in that role.
if
Mel,
you're listening.
there, and your other guy, played
Caviezel.
Jim Caviezel. I love you, Jim. And if you guys could do this film, it's right in your
Wheelhouse.
Mel, feel free. Jim, if you're saying it too, feel free to leave a note
Yes.
in the comments.
Please.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to be one of the
Well,
120 people that watch this.
I mean, that sounds like my cue, which is Mel Gibson has repeatedly shown himself to be racist, sexist, anti-Semitic, a man who commits domestic violence. You can blame that on his alcoholism. You can blame it on his father's extremist church upbringing that actually rejected the Second Vatican Council. You can blame it on his own extreme religious beliefs, but it doesn't matter. I think it is completely reasonable to look at someone's work and say, this is an incredible piece of work. He's also an objectively terrible person. And one of his dream projects that apparently he's been working on for years is to do exactly a movie of the Maccabees, which I totally get, because the Maccabees in the story of Hanukkah, the heroes of the story, are exceptionally violent religious zealots who kill other Jews as traitors, as well as fighting the Assyrian invaders. So I can see that being right up his interest. But keep your fucking hands off the Maccabees, Mel. And I find it very aggravating on a personal level that I'll see something like Hacksaw Ridge and I'm like, God damn, that's a good movie. It's a really well done movie, but he is an objectively terrible person. And I think it's bad that we keep glossing over that, because it's not just I don't think nobody's glossing over. No, as far as he keeps getting work, he keeps getting esteem. And I think it's unfortunate, because there are people who do terrible things and they did a terrible thing. And that happens because people make poor choices. But this guy does it over and over and over.
Do you think that he has mental issues, mental illness?
That's not an excuse. Kanye West has clearly terrible mental health problems. It's not an excuse. Especially these guys, they can get help.
I still loved him in the Santa Claus movie he did. So,
yeah, I mean, I'm going to throw this out here. I mean, it reminds me of, in a lot of ways, I look at Mel Gibson's work and I feel the same way that I feel about Roman Polanski's work. You know, Roman Polanski's a pretty bad dude in
but
different ways.
Raping a child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we really gonna say that something
but
is?
My point
is
is, like I said, in different ways, they're bad dudes. They're very talented men, but they're bad. They're bad people in different ways. I'm not gonna sit here and try to balance the scales and say what's worse or what's better. I'm just gonna go ahead and say they're both pretty bad people, but they're talented. It's like I remember once having an argument about the original Birth of a Nation. It's a film that is historically important as a part of our. As a part of film history, of pushing the art and the science of filmmaking forward.
Sure.
The idea, the actual content of that film is reprehensible, And it
was then too.
It was, but you literally had, Woodrow Wilson screen it at the White House and call it history written with lightning. And therefore the Ku Klux Klan went from about a membership of roughly 5,000 people to almost 5 million. Now they had changed their hatred speech a little bit as well to be more almost anti-communist and anti-union than they were straight racists. But my point being is that you can look at Mel Gibson's work and you can appreciate it for its quality, but it's obviously anybody who's into music or who's into writing or anything has got, that's a personal challenge that you have to kind of make, or not challenge, but, decide, whether or not you're going to appreciate this person's art, even though you may disagree with them, terribly,
we talk about that all the time, separating the art from the person. Kevin Spacey's a big one. Roman Polanski, you already brought up.
Mm-hmm.
Woody Allen. I mean,
Sure.
I don't know how you just go down the list. But Mel Gibson does, for some reason, people don't want to give up on him. And I don't know why they're giving him more of a break than Kevin Spacey and Woody Allen. And
it's children.
Well,
it's because Woody Allen's children.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It's because Mel Gibson can still make money. Mel Gibson made his own independent movie, as Chris said, and that made 9 figures.
I was going to say something now, and it's just word. He used words. He didn't kill anybody. He didn't mess anybody up.
Except his wife that he physically assaulted repeatedly.
And that 23-year-old Russian singer he beat the shit out of.
Yeah.
I mean,
I missed that one.
Yeah. not only was he dating somebody who was essentially younger than his own children, which I mean, she's an
okay to do
adult. She's
that,
23. She's an adult. You
I
know,
think he's
she
got
can make her own
mental.
choices, but
Yeah.
I think he mentions it to the public quite openly that he was wrong, and he is, quite paying for that.
but I don't think he is paying for it. I
No,
mean,
I don't
Oh, no,
buy his
he's not
contrition.
Oh,
Same
he's
caliber
paid for it.
star he
He's
is.
not paying. Not his career's not paying. He had a slump. He had a slump. Jodie Foster brought him back with her movie The Beaver. If you remember.
Yeah,
That she did
no
with
fan
him
of her
because
choice either.
Yeah, she did Maverick with him, and she really adored Mel Gibson, and she kind of brought him back after that big incident he had with the cop and all the stuff that everybody found out. So slowly he keeps making his way back.
Yeah.
But I mean,
people are more willing to have him behind the camera than in front of it.
That's my
He hasn't been a star in many films in a while.
he's done it. But have you seen he's done a ton of films lately.
Yeah,
he works
they're all
regularly.
like-
Absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of independent features, but he's getting
I don't
great
wanna
reviews
judge-
in all of them.
I don't want to judge. I try as I'm getting older and older. I don't want to judge anybody.
I will.
I mean, this is the problem.
You're a
This is
young
the
man.
problem. And John, I know John is like freaking out right now because we're not talking about the movie. We're talking about the man. But this is the problem because I love Mel Gibson movies. Now, would I not like Mel Gibson as a human being? No, probably not. But I love his movies, and I love watching him in movies. And this is very difficult. And Kevin Spacey, the same thing. It's like I miss seeing that man in films because he was great.
Yeah, like
And all-
K-Pax and,
and
Pay It Forward.
Yeah, there's a couple stinkers, a lot of stinkers. What's the one about the capital punishment one he did?
The Life
Gale?
of David Gale.
That
That's
one,
a
yeah.
real stinker.
Garbage.
You know,
But okay, I think we can get off the Mel Gibson train right now.
but
I
I
get
just
back-
want to point up the Roman Polanski thing. And like,
Why?
and maybe some people are feeling this. Well, when I saw The Pianist, that was such a terrific movie. And I was like, I don't want to see the Roman Polanski. And it just frustrated. I'm sure Drew's frustrated the same way about this Mel Gibson film. But to me, it's like, damn, that was a really good movie. It had a really great message, and I love that movie. And it's like,
Which one are you talking about now? This one or Pianist?
The
What?
Pianist.
Pianist. What are you talking about right now?
The Pianist,
The Pianist.
The Pianist.
the Roman Polanski film.
Yeah.
Even a minor Polanski film, like I don't know if you guys saw The Ghost Rider that had Ewan McGregor and
I love
Pierce
that
Brosnan. That is an outstanding thriller.
Yeah.
Like really excellent world-class thriller and the kind of movie you would expect from Roman Polanski.
Yeah.
And he gave us Chinatown, of course, but he also gave us things like Frantic, another killer thriller.
Yeah.
But I think it's okay to find your own way with how you feel about the work itself, but I think it's foolish to pretend that it is separate from the people who make it and the way that people are treated. Like it's okay with me if you say, I like Titanic, but I really didn't like the way James Cameron treated Kate Winslet on the set.
Yeah.
Both of those things are
Look at
legitimate
Brian. What about
positions to
Brian
have.
Singer? We could go down the list.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
can't
on
do
and
Brian
on.
Singer. Where'd he
Harvey
go?
Weinstein. I mean, he finally got his comeuppance, but how long did he run with all these films? Anyway, okay.
well, now
Let's
you're
get back
talking
to
about
this
movies
film.
I watched, so we'll get there
So,
later.
so should we just rate this film, or do we need to talk any more about what happened, or are we good?
I
Well,
think
I
we're
just
rating it.
Okay, that was easy. John, what's your rating?
YKY.
So quiet. Chris,
Yippee-Ki-Yay! It's a great action film with with just a great ending. You know,
Drew.
Yeah, Yippee-Ki-Yay. It's a hell of a movie. I mean, if I think of what's a great example of a chase movie, this is always on the short list.
Well, also the chase with Charlie. What's his name?
Charlie Sheen and
Charlie Sheen and
Well, it's not the only chase
Buffy
movie.
the Vampire
That's
Slayer.
Christy Swanson.
Yeah.
Christy Swanson.
That's
yeah.
a good chase film. All right, Sean and Debbie.
Yippee-Ki-Yay.
Yippee-Ki-Yay.
Any more Inca stories? Or are we good?
It's an interesting choice, Debbie. Thank you for bringing it. No, I just
I
wouldn't
say
have
Yippee
expected
Ki as
that.
well, and I understand all the Mel Gibson stuff, but I still love the film. All right, let's do a little round of what you watch. Now, I had a clock I was going to put in, but I think I'm not going to. I think I'll just cue people if I feel like you're going too far, too long. Okay, let's start with Chris. Chris, what'd you watch?
I actually watched Ridley Scott's 1985 beautiful yet messy legend. With
Oh my
starring
God.
Tom Cruise.
I watched that yesterday too.
No way. Which
We watched the theatrical version. I want to watch the director's cut now.
Oh yeah, I have the original. I won't say the original, but
Who's in this one? Wait, who's in this one?
Tom Cruise,
Tom
Mia
Cruise,
Sara,
Tim
Mia
Curry.
Sara, Tim Curry as Darkness.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, one of the absolute greatest makeup jobs you'll ever see. Bringing
Absolutely.
forth something that is completely fantastical, but bringing it to life.
Got an Oscar nomination.
Yeah, it
for that.
is.
It's
Well, it
crazy.
should. It was gorgeous. It's funny. I like this film because there's three distinctly different versions. There's an American theatrical, a European theatrical, and then a director's cut. And I watched it on my 2002 DVD, which blows my mind that DVD is now over 20 years old.
Right.
Anyway, like I said, kind of a mess of a film. The director's cut obviously is 25 minutes longer than either of the other versions. The international version is only a few minutes longer.
Well, the director's cut is supposed to be more coherent.
It is.
As far as a story, but
It
also
is, yeah.
the biggest reason I'm drawn to it, the Tangerine Dream score of the theatrical cut is very 80s and it's fine.
Yeah.
But Jerry Goldsmith did the score for the
Yes.
original version, and I mean, like I want to hear how that works with those images.
And it works great. I can tell you that. And but he also did the score for the international version as well.
Okay.
Jerry
But
Goldsmith
anyway,
or Tangerine?
Jerry Goldsmith.
So yeah, so I saw that film. I rewatched that movie. Really terrific. And then I listened to a podcast that was right up my alley. It's called Paper Movies. It is a review of novelizations.
Nice.
Yeah, I love those. Unfortunately for me, I could barely get through a few episodes because they're obviously like book people and they don't understand like they're talking about the novelization and, oh, did they add this or did they not? And I'm like, they don't understand that, the author gets a final script, the final shooting script, which many times does not appear to be the same as what gets put on screen. So there was a lot of those things where it's like some of their, and I don't mean this in really a negative way, their ignorance about the way that movies are made and marketed and stuff kind of was annoying to me. But they did actually talk about Alien, which was written by Alan Dean Foster. Alien, he's an author in his own right. So he did Alien and Aliens. And it's funny, Drew, when you were talking about the special edition of Aliens, I was so excited when I finally saw that special edition because I had read the novelization back in like 86 and so many of those scenes were in the novelization. And I thought it was just something that he had added because in 86, I wasn't as understanding of how movies are made and edited and things like that. So, but later on, 4 years later, when I finally, or more than that, 10 years later, when I saw the special edition, I was like, holy crap, that was in there all along. Anyway. That's all I did this week.
All right. Well, that went a little over 2 minutes, so I'm sorry. I'm going to put a clock up now. So hang in there, everybody.
Chris, you're always talking too much.
Chris, it's not your fault. Okay. And who wants to go? John, I'm going to set the clock on you. Go.
Oh, sure. So I went to the movies and I saw
Nice.
Ant-Man.
What is that? Is that a Ant-Man mask?
That's an Ant-Man helmet.
You paid for that?
So
what do you do with that?
I really wanted to like this movie.
Don't answer my question.
I really like Paul Rudd.
Play.
And I love the first Ant-Man, but Marvel is just totally screwing up these movies, and it was just
well, isn't the same creative guy head of Marvel? Feige,
Kevin
whatever
Feige,
his name is.
but Disney's got their hands all over this.
Oh, okay. Let's blame Disney.
Well, it is. I mean, it is. But I'm not going to
blame Disney.
I'm going to do a separate short on this, so I'm not going to review it. So what I watched after some of the movies that we've watched, I went to some old films. I watched 1936's My Man Godfrey, which after it happened one night is one of the most famous screwball comedies. It's still excellent today. The dialogue, the cast. I also watched for the first time Sullivan's Travels, directed by Preston Sturges.
First time.
1940. Yeah, first time I've ever seen it. I've seen bits and pieces of it. I really liked the movie a lot. Very funny. And then the last 20 minutes, it just takes a dark, dark turn that I was totally not expecting. Also, Veronica Lake, who I don't really know a lot of her work, she was just gorgeous in that movie. And, you know, I read stuff about her and they say she's not that attractive. She was gorgeous in that movie with that hair coming down, and she was pregnant while she was making the movie. Just a funny movie. You know, I like going back to the classics, and that was one that I was I wanted to watch. So that's what I watched. And I'll do my Ant-Man review on a separate one and let you know what I think about that movie.
I guess you didn't like it.
I think we already know.
Good, John. You had 10 seconds. That was a good job.
I like Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd, really good.
All right. Paul Rudd was good.
He is
Yeah.
very
Right.
good.
Let me reset the timer.
Yeah.
Who's next? Let's go, Sean and Debbie.
We
Tulsa
watched the
King.
show everybody been talking about here, or Drew at least. Tulsa King.
Still,
Excellent
Sylvester
choice.
Stallone rocks it.
He's still
Excellent.
he's playing
still sexy
younger.
at 78.
He's 78, but plays a
Plays 75.
75-year-old.
And totally sells it.
Yes,
Yeah.
he does.
I'm convinced.
He still got it though. He still got that.
He
Ooh,
does. He's
It's
great.
great gangster fish out of water film.
Yeah.
So
You
fun.
know, it's got humor, it's got heart, and it's got it's got everything you want.
It's got a lot of violence.
Sheraton and Terrence Winter, who did Boardwalk Empire, if I'm not mistaken,
fabulous.
was also heavily involved in this one as well. See his name all over the credits. So it's a great film. And I do want to tell Chris that my novel, Sarah's Choice, was novelized. You know, my partner and I did not write it, long story. And there were sections of it they just copied word for word from the script.
Yeah.
You know, and
Why don't you tell that was also novelized by Alan Dean Foster? That was the most amazing.
you know, he had just finished Alien 6 and jumped on this. And what pisses me off, the person who did the novelization got paid more for that than we got for the movie.
Ugh.
But that's another story. And they do like a foreword where they make it sound like the novel came first and then the script came second.
Rude.
That's
Thievery.
another thing. Pissed me off. But
How many
That's not bitter,
episodes
you
of
want-
Tulsa King has dropped?
There are 9 episodes. That's the whole season. They're all out on Paramount Plus. And
Yeah, I watched
it's
the
already
first
been
3.
renewed for a second season.
well, you know what? I honestly think they could have gone 10 episodes and played out and stretched out that last thing. I think
What I think was good is that they have storylines that they resolve over the course of the first season and in some unexpected ways.
Right.
And they have storylines that clearly can go the whole series, whether it's 2 seasons or 7 seasons. And it was really satisfying because I was like, okay, we got this one wrapped up. This is great. And some of the stuff that they wrap up, they can make echoes of it and other effects of them. And there's certain things that I think it's just entertaining. It's just really fun.
that's it. It's just entertaining. I loved it. It was just a good time watching TV. Then
Can't wait for the next one. Wait, is it Paramount or Peacock?
Paramount.
Paramount, okay.
All right.
Paramount plus Showtime.
Now it's Drew's turn. Go.
So I watched actually 2 movies that we kind of touched on some of the stuff that they're about already. One of them, some friends of ours said to Kelly and I, come over and watch this movie. And it was a movie that I'd heard was terrible. It is a big mess, but it's not terrible. It's called Babylon.
Oh, yeah.
And it's got a fantastic score by Justin Hurwitz that will probably win an Oscar. But it is a big, ridiculous mess about the movie industry. If you ever thought, you know what Singing in the Rain needs? More orgies with dwarves and piles of cocaine and elephants and full frontal nudity, John's favorite, then Babylon is
Look
for
at
you.
John's face. Look at John's face.
It's really kind of an extraordinary movie. There are much better versions of this story. Like
What
Boogie
year?
Nights.
What year was this set in?
It starts in 1926 and it goes all the way through to 1952, and it's really the transition from silent to talkies. And Margot Robbie is great. Brad Pitt is great. Like there's a lot of great stuff in it, but it's also a big crazy mess. The other movie that I watched, which was I thought really kind of extraordinary, and I'm sorry that it hasn't gotten attention, is also about the movie industry. Is called She Said. And it's about the 2 reporters at the New York Times that broke the Harvey Weinstein story.
Yeah,
This is a hell of a movie. I mean, it's a great journalism movie. It's a great retelling of a recent history movie. It's a great thriller and drama. The script alone is just really incredible. And I mean, to see a good movie about journalism that just happened. I mean, All the President's Men is still a great movie, but that's a long time ago. And so to see this story and to see what happened was very moving. It's great performances. And I mean, Harvey Weinstein is one of the all-time great monsters, and the terrible things that he did and that he did for decades. And you've got a number of people like Ashley Judd playing themselves in the film, and it's very moving. So I would recommend anybody to see it. It's currently on Peacock, and I think also you can rent it. And I'm sorry that more people didn't see it and didn't get more awards.
Yeah,
attention.
it really flopped at the box office. I thought.
I don't think they really knew how to market it. It reminded me of Fair Game, another excellent movie based on recent history with Sean Penn and Naomi Watts that just didn't find an audience. And that
was a tricky one.
Fantastic.
But the Post, have you seen the Post?
I actually just rented that from Amazon. I need to watch that.
That's
because,
that's the prequel to All the President's Men. It's
right.
Like the origin
I'm excited to see that Spielberg's movie. So yeah.
What about
she said it's one of the best things I've seen in a while.
Awesome. I can't wait. So that's streaming. That She Said is streaming.
It's on Peacock. Yeah.
Oh, I want to see that one. All right, let me set the timer for me, and I'm going to go. Here we go. You guys can't see it till I air this.
We'll have to trust you on it.
Yeah, I'm done. No, it went off. I decided to just watch crappy movies. So I went to Hulu and I rented 2 back to back. One is called Man-Eater. It's about a shark.
Oh.
It stars and executive produced by Trace Atkins, you know, the country singer. And Nikki Whelan. You know who Nikki Whelan is? Did any of you guys see Hall Pass?
Oh, okay.
Owen Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
She plays the blonde that Owen Wilson ends up trying to hook up with. Amazing looking woman. She's the lead. Shane West,
producing talent.
Shane West, who I guess I had heard about him, but I guess
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Right. Yeah, he played Tom Sawyer in that one.
Yeah.
Well, he kept complaining on the set that, this really proves that my career went downhill because this movie is horrible. And
it was in network
the effects are terrible.
So.
But Chase Atkins gets and Jeff Fahey's in it as well. He plays a shark scientist.
I love Jeff Fahey.
Right. And the last line is, "We're going to need a bigger boat," by Trace Atkins. It's like, okay, I'll take him for that one.
Gonna need a bigger
And then I
boat.
watched one called The Ledge, which is a climbing film about this woman who ends up hanging from a ledge as 3 guys who are trying to kill her or above the ledge, and all the things that happen with them trying to kill her and her trying to get out of the situation while she's hanging on this thing. It's terrible, and it's great at the same time. Yeah, they're awful films, but they're so much fun.
Did anyone see The Fall? Isn't that
The Fall is great. The Fall is a good
great.
film. That's a good film.
That was streaming. I think.
Hey, Ralph, was that woman in Chichen Itza?
Her head was not shaped like a sledgehammer, so no. She doesn't look Mayan at all.
Oh, Mayan.
So, all right, that's it. Let's now. Let's rate it. I'm sorry. We already rated. Where are we? No, what'd you watch? I'm so confused.
Wait a minute, I'm going to check the internet and see if there's any news about Tom Sizemore.
Yeah, check that out. No, let's spin the wheel. Okay, so we're all back on the wheel, and then we'll just set this up if it lands on you. We already rated. It's all the talk about See, we talked about Harvey Weinstein again, so I thought we were back.
Well,
there.
if you want, we can rate Mel Gibson and Harvey Weinstein.
I don't really want to do that. So we're all on the wheel. Whoever gets spun to, you pick whatever movie you want to bring, and I don't care. You guys want to bring a new film that's out now. If you want to bring an old film, it's free for all. Okay,
are we all going to go see Cocaine Bear?
I would love to see Cocaine Bear.
I mean, that's one we should all go
out
out
this Friday.
Okay, so this weekend we'll see Cocaine Bear.
I don't think I can make it this weekend, but you guys want to do that? You just want to skip this week of Spin and just say let's go see.
Well, if you're not going to be able to see it,
well, I think I can get there by Monday. I can see it Monday night.
Okay, we'll see Cocaine Bear.
I'm going to New Jersey this weekend for a disco party, so I'm really prepped up for that one.
Fun.
Is that also going to be a cocaine party?
I would. You know what? I may see it this weekend. Now that you mention it. How about is that we want to do that? Go see Cocaine Bear and talk about that one.
That works for me.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll go see that.
All right.
Before Tuesday. Chris, can you pull it off before Tuesday?
Yeah, I should be able to pull that off.
Okay.
All right.
Chris, maybe we'll try to go together. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
All of us. I mean, if you guys are in Baltimore.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
John, I'm sorry. You're stuck out there in New England.
All of you get together. Do a little, do a shot
John.
outside. Do a shot outside the movie theater where you guys can all be in a group talking about the movie, and I'll be by myself.
Hey, that's a good idea. We could shoot some stuff outside the film.
With my Ant-Man helmet.
But here's what we do. When you guys go to the film, do a little videotape yourself walking into the film, talking about it.
I'm not going to use a video camera, Ralph. I'll use my phone, but I'm not going to videotape myself.
You can use your phone.
Use your high
You
end
record
camera.
it digitally.
Okay.
No,
You know
I
what?
get
This
the
podcast
VHS
is now
one.
over.
Bye.
Cocaine Bear.
How can it be over before subscription? Hit the like button.
I don't know why you
Hit it? I
why
thought
are you
you
waiting
meant
till the
smash
end to
it.
do that?
Hear it.
Smash it like taper balls.
There you go. It's my shtick, Ralph.
Okay. All right. So Cocaine Bear, it is right.
Cocaine Bear.
Came back.
Right. That's
Yeah.
a new film.
I like bears and I like cocaine.
Oh.
I hope you
I mean,
guys,
not to use it.
you guys realized I had all this junky jewelry on to assimilate Chichen Itza.
I was waiting for you to put it in your nose. Wrap it around.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to do
And
that.
that's the show, everybody.
Okay. All right. Have a good week, everybody. Enjoy Cocaine Bear. Take a little snippet of yourself with your phone or whatever you have.
A little sniff.
Well,
What?
Ralph,
And
we'll try to see it together.
And don't
Okay.
don't use cocaine.
Especially if you're
Don't pay for your own cocaine.
Yeah, don't pay for
For the
it.
first time is always free. So,
Kids
Do not
need to pay
hugs,
for
not
your own
drugs.
cocaine. All right. Have a good week. Bye.
bye.